naisa balange for bamba ma.
Amate na mama tekano tsema chalilo ex chamu papu shefe chalila. Alembwena mwapo pati tomu shalila banga bambona fefe badila. Kia bana yaba chukulilei kulila ngoli kulilai. Tende chalo chalila tiba shemu.
Engira vet kakos na papa vampere fia kunanje shiro boss. Viviongono fia papa fia lila fievele sota munu e verifions. Para nebo chano aporomos. Shinkanga muy pushebons. Pero bandole sabon se va papa badila.
Ena dimpatapata kabiongo kakwe kadifu apoteni zero. Sina the other day muchikuru akadikeka jelemi bio. Party for tonight. Pande po what you like. Twende paka mubu mfisolo she like.
Nene babadila kabunga na kadula mkwanisha shani. Lebo mesho kupiba elo kusai sanga no mamu mazali. Ono makule samba mumukaka. Shush no manish wa mkaka. Yako wapiti na chakule ntaka somali fies.
19 pendef kondo na liku Singapore na wedele fe mangwingwi. Batsiranda potsungu na bebera teti chai wants to wee wee. Hey mini na kufo please do. Once you come page do. Mana kwa tikia pe uliko let me hear some.
Nichikana bonzi na papa na bukele na koko chipesi sa kumoneko. Nifuruka weka tena kuchaningo fika na kuchibinde kumakoloko. Lelo ndai kwanto. Wana ngesa iboko. Wane mpoko balila. Abubari fiat.
Bana mwana na twende babiri lelo ture ya twangalile kusanzipa. Wachankwete konsenkwete lelo nolotola na kusanzika. Aftapo ture ya kutubai. Bana mwamba bebe ko kutubai. Efuranga lilebo kutukai. Bebele.
Bingamo ingubo ningadi ya moshonsa pabantu balati. Ninsamba pamaluku na isi popopo gelo quality. Sasa shila yelo na kaki. Emuda material ni satin. Sabika poswaini chisote kumanual.
13:13 on the digital clock. Happy Monday. Welcome to the Upside. Essentially the first Monday for the brand new month of August. There is just a lot of cosmic changes happening in August, and that then ultimately affects our movements here, isn't it? So let's see how it goes. It's going to be a very interesting month. I think you and I are going to have a lot to say to one another by the time it is the end of the month, before we get into what will be known as the spring season in the Southern Hemisphere. Chandana K coming through with Wow, the title of the song you just heard. Welcome to the Upside with Mmatsheko Mosito until 4 p.m. in Central African time. We're going to be unpacking a very interesting new study, all right? And it looks very closely at South African women and what they are prioritizing. But I really want this to be an inclusive conversation. So we're going to look at broader themes. We're going to look at this particular study as put together by the Riverbend Agency. But much of what was covered is themes that are very, very universal. So it doesn't matter whether you're in Cameroon or whether you are in Ghana or, whether you're in Norway. It doesn't matter where you are. I think much of what's going to come up are big themes around just the shift in feminine priority. So we're going to be looking at the study. Our guest this afternoon is Chief Executive Officer of Riverbed, who's going to be joining us, Mona Zwambila. So make sure that you tune in 15 minutes past 1 p.m.
Get Channel Africa on DSTV Audio Bouquet. Channel 802.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time.
On the Move with Palisa Tau and Benjamin Mushata.
Should influencers be expected to be impactful in society? If there is a social or societal conversation that goes up, should we be waiting eagerly to hear what the influencers have to say?
They are more than just entertainers. They are thought leaders to some certain degree. They influence culture, they influence people's thought processes, they set trends, they shape opinions of people. And the sad reality is, although a lot of them them don't want to accept it. I think we're getting better with them realizing that embarking in that journey and in that space comes with a certain level of responsibility.
I see it differently in that, professionals are already good at their job, but there is an optionality that they might have to use the position that they hold in society to be able to deliver a message. This year you made the example of actors and actresses. So the same could apply to a sportsman. Just because someone's good at soccer doesn't mean that they have to have an influence over society from a specific standpoint.
Keeping you on the know and on the move. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Welcome back. So, a new national study is offering a closer look at what South African women are truly prioritizing in their lives and careers. As you and I speak, the Riverbed Agency has released its Care Barometer, Discovering What Women Care About 2025. So this is essentially a report that explores how women navigate their daily challenges while upholding holding onto their long-term goals. So it looks like 41% of women that were surveyed listed financial independence as their top priority, and fewer placed career growth or rather further education near the top, highlighting the gap between ambition and what's possible under current conditions. From internal struggles with confidence to societal expectations around caregiving and family roles, the data is very revealing when it comes to the weight many women are carrying. Yes, this is a South African study, but I think much of the themes are universal. So it really doesn't matter where you're tuning in from. You're going to learn something here. Let's unpack all of this data with Mona Zwambila, who is Chief Executive Officer of Riverbed, who joins us on the line. Good afternoon to you. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Very interesting, research, as it were. I think what's going to come out today is not necessarily going to be surprising, but it would be very interesting to find out what your research has revealed. Mona, let's start with the financial independence. I think that's a good place to start. Looking at financial independence being ranked highest among women's priorities. What stood out in your particular research about why this is such a factor?
Great. Well, thank you for that. It was quite an alarming, data point for us to look at. And what I'd like to do is perhaps just take a step back to contextualize why we did the research.
Yes.
And why it was really important for us to do so. I think first and foremost, as Riverbed, we are a Black female-owned agency. And so as the founder of Riverbed, I think what was clear is that my lived experience in terms of building this agency over the last 18 years was not unique. I think what was also clear, for myself and my team at Riverbed is, this reality that the research that we put forward is really important, not only for women, because I think, when we talk to women and they see the data reflected back at themselves, that's quite powerful. But it was also really important for both brands and obviously for business. Our starting point with the research was really to firstly understand what women's aspirations are, which is what they care about. And as you rightly said, what was quite startling for us was this realization that the key thing that is important to women is their financial independence. And this is, I think quite clear against the back of the fact that we know that 48% of households across South Africa are headed by women. And so financial independence becomes really, really important. A close second to that, is this reality of, women prioritizing their families, their partners, and obviously their children, and seeing both financial independence and how they need to show up at home for their families, very much, as mutually inclusive aspirations. What was, I would say disheartening, at least for me, is the data point that stated that as little as 5% of the women we surveyed said that their career aspirations were the most important to them. And obviously that is because of a host of different things. So when we did the research, first and foremost, it was to understand what the aspirations are, and then ultimately to ascertain what is getting in the way.
This is fascinating. I think also
Yes.
as we look at, just so many environments changing and shaping and shifting, this is obviously very, very important. And also just considering the participation of women and their roles in society and how that's moving, so this is very important research. Career advancement is another one, Mona. Let's talk about that, because I think it's so interesting that you found or discovered through this research journey that women are prioritizing family, things that were not necessarily the thing, as we got into this millennial, as it were. So now, a career advancement, I want to say, is becoming secondary.
Right.
Talk to us about how women are sort of talking around financial independence and not tying financial independence to career advancement, because back in the day you had to have a career in order to be financially independent. So talk to us about that middle ground.
Well, firstly, what was interesting for us is that there's a realization that women's career journeys are never linear. There's a lot in terms of our life stages that is important at a particular stage. I think the big one is obviously women, having children and raising families, which often curtails their career journeys and their growth aspirations. So that was one of the key things that we discovered. I think what is also interesting is that there's a lot of talk around women wanting a seat at the table, really trying to get access to boardroom conversations, etc. But our research really didn't speak to that. What it showcased is that women aren't necessarily looking for a seat at the table, but they're spending a lot of time just trying to get the food on the table, in terms of really being able to ensure that they can take care of their families and the communities in which they live. And so that was really interesting for us. To once again take a step back, I mean, what we also found interesting is if you look at women across their life stages. I think all of us, we obviously go to school, end up at university, and then start to pursue our career goals. And what is interesting is, a theory that we discovered called the Matthew effect, which was discovered by a social scientist called Alex Merton. And what it speaks to, just sort of simply put, is this reality that if you start with advantage, you're likely to continue to have advantage as you go through your life. And I think, simply put, that's the term we hear a lot about, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. What is interesting when you look at women specifically is that we start off with advantage. We have more women that are completing matric in this country. We have more women that are graduating from university, right. And that is across all areas of university, be it accounting degrees, doctors, art, the arts, economics, etc. And so something happens between them leaving the educational system and entering the labor market, because that advantage that is experienced in women's younger years starts to dissipate, and that trajectory starts to decline. And as we know, the reality is that there are only 13% of female leaders in JSE listed companies at a CEO and executive level. And so a lot happens in terms of careers, in terms of barriers to success, that the research really seeks to unpack. It's this understanding that, there's this duality in women's lives that really creates a barrier to their ability to end up in some of those roles that a lot of women might aspire to, but aren't necessarily able to achieve.
All right. If you've just tuned in, thank you for being here. The Upside in conversation right now with Mona Zwambila in her capacity as Chief Executive Officer of Riverbed. They've put together a very interesting research that was conducted nationally here in South Africa, looking at women and what they are truly prioritizing when it comes rather to life goals, career goals. You know, is there meeting between the two? What is happening in femininehood as you and I speak? Mona, let's look at other things that may have stood out. Perhaps the pressure for women to feel like they need to have these degrees and contribute in a certain manner in the labor force, but also going back home, being a great parent, being a successful partner, but also wanting to be a successful professional.
Correct. So having understood the, aspirations, we identified and grouped together 4 key barriers, that are getting in the way. And the first one is what we call, and I think the term is quite widely used, the confidence gap. What our research showed is that 1 in 3 women believe that their low self-esteem, their confidence, their feelings of imposter syndrome in the workplace hold them back. And quite closely linked to that, within the bucket of, this confidence gap, is this understanding in reality as well that when women find themselves in male-dominated environments, that confidence declines even more so. And I think, once again, the research showed that decline is something like 10%. That your confidence level declines by within certain environments. And we know that as you go further up the ranks in terms of your career aspirations, there are fewer and fewer women that are at the top of at the top of the ranks. And so, the confidence gap was a big one. The second one, which you've spoken to and alluded to, is really just around women having to do it all, this constant juggle to prioritize a lot of different things really is a setback in many ways. And I think what's happened over time is that we have started to normalize this reality, and it becomes very difficult for women to to sort of, I think, almost declare out loud that it's not something that's in service of them doing other things. And albeit we find ourselves in situations, we enjoy motherhood. I'm a mother of 2. I feel that if we don't prioritize and give equal attention to things that we care about and that are important for us, something will give. And invariably, what does give is things like our career aspirations or any other passions that we might have. Research also found that, albeit women are spending a lot of time in the work environment, I think, the data showed something like 10 hours a day in work environments, they are spending an additional 3.5 hours a day on household care. And that's not only a South African statistic. I think, the UN has statistics that are quite similar. And, leaving very little time, for career aspirations, leaving very little time for self-care, which is also important. And so, if you don't have enough time to put into these really important areas, I think the results are quite clear in terms of how it really shows that we start to lag behind in some of those areas. I think another barrier that we looked at was, obviously the workplace environment and just the incongruence that women experience between the rigidity that comes with a corporate environment and their ability to be able to be good mothers, good partners, good daughters, and still be able to, pursue careers. An interesting statistic that came out of that, which we all actually found quite interesting, is that 28% of women, when firstly, would have to think about, do I want to create a family, fall pregnant and have a family, or do I want to pursue my career goal? And albeit this has been normalized, I do think we have to question why women may have to make these significant choices. Over and above that, 28% of women responded to the fact that when they did fall pregnant, they struggled to be able to tell their bosses. And even if that boss was female, they found this to be a struggle. And so here you have the most amazing thing that can happen to you, and you struggle to actually speak about this within your work environment. And then over and above that, women that were raising children felt they had to find an occupation that would accommodate that. So your career goals that you might have had at the end of university, start to dissipate because you have to reprioritize. And the reality is, men don't have to go through that. I think they can follow quite a linear career path throughout their life trajectory. As fathers, as husbands, things don't change much in that regard. And so, I think what we really wanted to bring to the fore from a research perspective was that there's great policies in place in our South African context. We're celebrating Women's Month currently, and South Africa is probably one of the most lauded countries globally in terms of policies that they have for women.
Right.
But outside of these policies, we do need to look at, our socio-cultural context. We have to look at patriarchy and how all of that impacts women's ability to succeed. And that's really what the research sought to unpack.
Yeah. Mona, thank you so much. I don't know if we've got more time with you. It would be so wonderful to continue, but we have run out of time. Thank you very much for the time. Do you have an additional 10 minutes for us?
I do, yes.
Okay.
I can continue. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. We'll just keep you on the line. I'll send you back to my producer. We're in conversation with Mona Zwambili, speaking to us as CEO of Riverbed, and we're talking about femininehood and what that looks like when we look at just life and career in general. It is 1:32. Let's cross to the sports desk.
Sports on Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at the Sawa. So Kenya's Harambee Stars head coach Benny McCarthy has lauded his players for their fighting spirit as they kicked off the African Nations Championship Chan tournament by edging the tournament favourites, the Democratic Republic of Congo, 1-0 at the Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi last night. So the victory also marks a perfect start for the host side, who were making their debut at this year's Chan tournament.
First of all, I'm very proud of my team. Many of them, it's the first time that they step out on such a big stage. The fact that they played against one of the tournament's favorites in my eyes, this is a team with so much experience, DRC. They've won this tournament twice in the past, so they know what winning is about. They know what it is about playing in this tournament, and for us, who's very novice.
Now, the victory gives Kenya a crucial 3 points in Group A, which also features top footballing countries from strong leagues like in Morocco, Zambia, as well as Angola. Kenya's next game will be against Angola, who also narrowly lost to the Atlas Lions 1-0 in the opening fixture played at the Nile National Stadium, also in Nairobi. McCarthy says they will take the positives from the opening game to their next game against Angola.
Did the job what was asked of them, and now we can prepare in a relaxed fashion and look forward to the next match, which is Angola, and we can forget about this and take the good that we did today and take it and hopefully take it on to the next match.
Right, we'll stay on the continent. The Confederation of African Football's 47th Ordinary General Assembly will be held in Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo on the 6th of October. So the Ordinary General Assembly will bring together the leading figures in African football, including the presidents of CAF's 54 member associations, representatives from 6 zonal unions, as well as senior football officials from across the continent. Meanwhile, the CAF president, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, will chair the 47th Ordinary Congress General Assembly, taking place, just a reminder, on the 6th of October. And finally, in tennis news, Wimbledon champion Iga Swiatek became the latest seed to fall at the Canadian Open as she suffered a surprise defeat by Clara Toussaint in the 4th round yesterday. So Denmark's Toussaint, ranked 19th in the world, avenged her 4th round loss to Swiatek at Wimbledon last month with a 7-6, 6-1 victory over the second seed in Montreal. Swiatek's exit also comes just after the top seed Coco Gauff of the USA, two-time defending champion Jessica Pegula Lamula, also of the USA, as well as the 4th seed Mira Andreeva of Russia, were all knocked out of the early rounds. Tucson will meanwhile face Australian Open champion Madison Keys of the USA in the quarterfinals for a place in the semi-finals of the Montreal Open. Meanwhile, on Sunday also, 4-time major winner Naomi Osaka lost only one game as she outplayed Latvia's Anastasia Sivatosva to wrap up a 6-1, 6-love win in just 49 minutes. Now, Japan's Osaka, a winner twice at the US as well as the Australian Opens, is seeking her first title since returning from maternity leave in early 2024. The 27-year-old parted company with Patrick Motuloglu, who was her former coach, after less than a year working together, and is now working with Poland's Tomasz Wiktorowski, the former coach of Iga Swiatek. Well, that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the second hour of The Upside. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete, koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhudzidwa funani chithandizo, chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, okhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhudzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC.
All right, 13:37. Let's check in with economics news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. As trade relations between South Africa and the U.S. continue to decline, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation Ronald Lamula says the country is now diversifying its trade partners and exploring alternative markets, including China. Lamula noted that the impact on the economy is expected to be minimal, around 0.2% of South Africa's GDP growth. It is estimated that 30,000 jobs are at risk, and while briefing the media in Johannesburg, he emphasized that the country's economic future remains resilient.
The reduction in growth from the 30% tariffs depends on a number of factors, including our ability to find alternative markets. It should be noted, however, that 85% of South Africa's exports remain exempted from the tariffs. All applicable exemptions published in the previous U.S. executive order are set to remain in force.
Still on the trade tensions between South Africa and the U.S., Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition Park Staal says the government will continue engaging with Washington. He emphasized that negotiations will be conducted in the best interests of the country. While acknowledging the challenges, Staal also highlighted that the situation presents an opportunity to further strengthen the African continental free trade area.
We are working with our colleagues in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. As indicated earlier, we have also ratified various protocols. We are accelerating work to address what are some of the niggly issues that need resolution, including issues on rules of origin with regards to the auto sector, clothing and textile.
South African Transport Minister Barbara Creecy and Deputy Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa have welcomed the department's clean audit outcome from the Auditor General South Africa. They say see it as a step toward a fully accountable administration. The department spokesperson Colin Msibi says the Auditor General found no significant deficiencies in the department's financial management processes.
This is the first time in 31 years that the department has achieved a clean audit outcome.
In West Africa, nurses in Nigeria say the government must not renege on its promise of delivering the host of allowances they are demanding this after the nurses suspended their 7-day warning strike after reaching an agreement with the government. Their union says they have been given clear timelines for improved pay, working conditions and recruitment, but they are not letting their guard down just yet. Correspondent Jonathan James.
Most importantly, they wanted certain increments in their overall salaries. They wanted some allowances introduced, allowances such as a suffering allowance, stuff that takes cognizance of what they go through. One of the allowances also they wanted was retention allowance.
BP has made its largest oil and gas discovery in 25 years offshore Brazil in a potential big boost for the British company following a strategic shift away from renewable energy to refocus on fossil fuels. BP is seeking to bolster oil and gas in its portfolio to regain investor confidence and revive underperforming shares. It says it has planned to create a major new output hub at the Boomerang discovery in Brazil. Let's have a look at financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 532, Botswana 13 Pula 41, Kenya the dollar is at 128 shilling 521, Zambia 22 kwacha 86. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 real 54, Russia 79 rubles 87, India 87 rupee 18, China 71.19, South Africa 18 rand 4 cents. $1 is 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is at $3,360, platinum at $1,318 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil at $68.74 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Get the news, music, and lifestyle of Africa on Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside, taking the African perspective to fresh levels.
All right, we're fast approaching 2:45 p.m. in Central African time, and Mona Zwambila has been speaking to us about a national study that is looking at what life for femininehood looks like in South Africa, really just looking at what women are prioritizing in their daily lives, from careers to children to education, and all of that comes in between. She's been generous enough to give us an additional few minutes for us to wrap up this fascinating conversation. Mona, thank you very much for holding the line. Very quickly, let's look at the issue around the mentioned Matthew effect. Okay, first of all, what is that, and how does that play a role in looking at leadership roles for women?
The Matthew effect is a theory that was, created by a gentleman called Robert K. Merton. And what he discovered, he did this study mainly on scientists, but I think it's quite true across all sectors of life, where he found and discovered that if you are an individual or even an organization that starts with some level of advantage, you are likely to continue to have advantage in the future. And, this is an interesting realization, and we looked at this in the context of the research we were doing, because what we know for sure is that from a female perspective, we might start with advantage in, the school environment, where we see that we have more women completing matric, etc. We have more women finishing university, as I'd mentioned before. But this advantage starts to dissipate in the context of careers, as women move into careers and go through their life stages. And so we used it really just to posit the question around why that is and to almost have it serve as a base against which we extrapolated our research.
Okay, all right. Okay, so if I'm looking to perhaps just dig a little deeper, maybe I am in this predicament as a woman on the African continent or in South Africa and would like to just look at this research, maybe find or discover something about this report that may assist me in the future. Where can I find the report?
We'd encourage anyone listening to email us at hello@theriverbed.co.za. And, we can give you access to the research findings. Over and above that, we're quite keen and open to host presentations with either brand owners or businesses, because I do think the research really helps corporates in terms of what they need to do internally to really help to really help women within their organizations. I think the insights really help in terms of crafting tailor-made solutions for women that go beyond some of the structural issues that are often discussed. And so, we're really open to having, one-on-ones or presenting the findings, to either corporates or brand owners, really just in a quest to share this information far and wide. But I think most importantly, with the hope of women looking at the research, understanding it, seeing themselves in the data, realizing that they're not the only ones on this journey. And also, I think most importantly, understanding that, for them to really start defining their futures, they are going to have to rethink and relook and renegotiate how they are showing up in the world.
Absolutely. I think this is very important. So indeed, if you'd like to have a look at the research, please send an email. Otherwise, a very important call for corporates or any sort of well-meaning corporation that wants to get women out of the bottom of the food chain and really move them into a new earth with this new research that is very, very important as put together by the Riverbed Agency. Thank you so much, Mona, for being so generous with the time and the research, and best wishes.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, and thanks to your listeners.
Thank you. Thank you. That
Thank
is
you.
Mona Zwambila, who is Chief Executive Officer of Riverbed. They put together a very important research. I keep saying that because that's exactly what it is. Okay. They call it the Care Barometer. Okay. Discovering what women care about in the year 2025. And this is a report that was exploring how women navigate their daily challenges and still trying to have these long-term goals.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay logged right here.
She builds, she leads, she rises. This August, join Channel Africa in celebrating the women who shape our communities, shift narratives, and carve out a future on their own terms.
These women together ought to be able to turn it right again.
From Cape Town to Kigali, Lagos to Lusaka, African women are rewriting the script. Here's to courage, creativity, and unstoppable progress. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
10 minutes to go till it's 2 p.m. in Central African time. Of course, the middle hour is our golden hour, so stay tuned. We're going to be looking at a property point investment of 26 million rand. All right, that is just a little under 1.5 million US dollars in youth jobs. All right, so we're looking at South Africa's youth unemployment crisis remaining one of the country's most pressing challenges. And we're going to be unpacking that and looking at what this investment is really going to do when we look at real estate. So tune in just after 2. But very quickly, SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun, a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory. This was in the year 2019. So it started in July and it continues into August. It comes through at 7:30 p.m. in Central African Time. Catch it on SABC2 every single Sunday so that you can catch all the highs and the heartache and the heroics that made rugby history. Otherwise, you're welcome to stream the chapter on SABC Plus anytime with no subscriptions needed. So don't miss Chasing the Sun. It comes through on Sunday at 7:30 p.m. in Central African Time on SABC2.
No fairy tales, just the facts and the music you love on Channel Africa.
When I hear your song, I miss you. Just had to tell you. Happy gigi, to yangi kitasa, to pelule, chabile jenga manje, iso kalambi, young tanda, he was made for me, not for him, onu pele give me.
noma sengiphansi ngiphezulu ngizama ukuveza ikhono sengilahle indlela zami zakudala ngiyindoda engcono ngiziphathe we-gentleman ngicela indlebe ngikhwela umbono shono I figured that we are still a team we're still like figurines I'm scared of what it means revive a dying dream a trip to the Philippines vula mehlo sithanda sama ungathi lethi siphetho
No matter where you are, Channel Africa is always with you.
Anybody way won't fight you, man, they come, they already know. I'll be right beside you, like the wall of Jericho. They don't know, they don't know, they don't know what's going on. Monagiso, 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 my baby boo. I'll be a soldier for you. I'm getting better in Kung Fu. You should know I got it, and you don't need to guide me too. I'll be right beside you in anything that you do. If you ever need saving, I will be running to you, running, running, running to you. I'll be running to you, running, running, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, running, running, running to you. I'll be running to you, running, running, running to you. Anywhere that you go to.
The Upside. On The Upside, your voice matters.
When I'm looking for trouble, it's cause I know that I got you. Wanting my best, everybody, oh, oh. And it's because of your kung fu. And anytime that I'm out of control, you hold me down. You never, never let go. Yeah. Munagiso, oh, Munagiso, Munagiso, my baby boo. See all the battles you'll be fighting, and I'll be right there with you. I may be small, but I'm mighty, and I go running for you. And anybody wakes up in here, don't be you, pull it up in around. And if I ever need saving, I'll be running to you.
Running, running, running to you. I'll be running to you, running, running, running to you. Anywhere that you go to, running, running, running to you. I'll be running to you, running, running, running to you.
You go there for
anywhere that you go to. You don't need to worry, anything you want.
Sun up to sundown, love me no go round down.
Anytime you come to me, baby, I go answer.
Any other brother, baby, you make them run down.
And if you want me coming to you, I go come to you.
Oh, you wanna see me, baby, don't choose me.
Tell me what you want, baby, say I'm not in my
Are you ready? Are you ready?
All right, this is us about to approach 2 p.m. in Central African time. A double play, proudly African music as per, coming through with Chike featuring Simi with Running to You. You heard South African greats come through. I Am Bama featuring Gabomo with Mind Your Heart, the title of the track. So I don't know if you've been thinking about just the world of property, you know, what that looks like right now. And not only right now, but really just the future of property and also the participation of young people. So we're going to be looking at Property Point and their investment of 26 million rand in youth jobs. This is in South Africa, but I'm just wondering what it's like in your part of the African continent. Perhaps property has become quite significant when it comes to kind of being able to help young people to participate economically. But also, is it exciting? Is it viable? Is it sustainable? All those questions come to mind when we look at property and the investment into youth jobs, which is very progressive and exciting. But yes, let us know what it looks like in your part of the African region. I would love to hear what it's like in Kenya, you know, in cities like Nairobi. I would like to hear if there's anything happening in Ouagadougou, if there's anything happening in Dakar, what is happening in the capital city of Windhoek, thank you. The capital city of Namibia, you know, in Windhoek, in Lusaka. Anything with regards to property, you're welcome to let us know. So on the back of that, we're going to be speaking about South Africa's youth unemployment crisis that remains one of the country's most pressing challenges, with more than 60% of young people between the ages of 15 and 24 being out of work. How is the property sector going to be playing a role in making sure that that is an issue that is dealt with? Okay, because those statistics are not only high, but they're also very unacceptable. Connect with us on social media at Channel Africa 1 on X with the hashtag The Upside so that we're able to track the conversation with you. Otherwise, you're just welcome to comment on our posts, okay? We are on Instagram. We're also on YouTube. We're on TikTok. And we're on Facebook. So there's no excuse. We're everywhere and would love to interact with you. It's 2 p.m. A quick check-in with what's happening in the world. It's time for news.
We are on Open Views Audio Bouquet. Channel 628. SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Looking at your top stories, Zambian government disputes the late former President Edgar Lungu was persecuted and warning that plastic pollution is a grave and growing danger. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The lawyer representing the Zambian government has disputed reports that the late former President Edgar Lungu was persecuted in his home country. Proceedings are underway in the High Court in Pretoria, where the Zambian government is challenging Lungu's final resting place. Lungu passed away at a Pretoria hospital in June. The Lungu family has opted for a private ceremony in South Africa, while the Zambian government wants his body to be repatriated back home for a full state funeral. Advocate Ben Stoop has argued that there aren't any facts that have been presented in court which demonstrate that Lungu was ever persecuted in Zambia.
What we do seek to strike is where there are references to persecution, that the president fled Zambia. Those allegations, we say, have no place here because they are simply not the truth. Well, there are no facts to back them up, and that's why we say they must be struck.
South Africa's Border Management Authority has rolled out new immigration entry and exit stamps at all ports of entry across South Africa, effective from the 1st of August. The updated stamps feature the Big Five and the BMA logo, aiming to prevent passport stamp tampering and enhance national security. BMA Commissioner Dr. Michael Masiapato announced this while presenting the BMA's first quarter report for the 2025-2026 financial year.
Each of the immigration officers had been allocated a specific stamp with its unique number linked to each officer in order to trace back should that particular stamp be found to have illegally stamped a particular passport with the intention to illegally facilitate illegal migration into the country. Whilst we started with the immigration-based stamps, we are now embarking on redesigning the new stamps for other specialized functions such as health, agriculture, as well as environment.
South Africa's National Police Commissioner Fani Masemula, together with senior SAPS officials, are meeting with Lesotho National Police Commissioner Advocate Buroto Matsuso. They are discussing allegations that there are illegal Basotho military training camps in South Africa. Previously, Masemula said law enforcement agencies in the country conducted investigations, but none of the camps were discovered. Police spokesperson Athlinda Mate.
General Fani Masemula has reached out to the Lesotho Police Chief, where the two commissioners discussed the allegations made by Advocate Matsoso. Both commissioners agreed that both law enforcement agencies' intelligence structures are on the ground to investigate the existence of such camps. General Fani Masemula assures all people living in South Africa that the safety and security of the people of SA is of paramount importance, and anyone who is found to be in the country committing illegal acts will face the full might of the law.
At least 68 migrants have died after a boat with about 157 people on board sank off the coast of Yemen in bad weather. The Yemen chief of the International Organization for Migration says the vessel capsized off Yemen's southern province of Abyan yesterday. He said 12 people have been rescued, but dozens were still unaccounted for. Most of the victims are believed to be Ethiopian nationals. Yemen is a major pathway for migrants from the Horn of Africa traveling to Gulf states in search of work. Health experts are warning that plastic pollution is a grave, growing and under-recognized danger to health. It is costing the world at least $1.5 trillion a year. In a review to coincide with talks in Geneva, they say plastics cause diseases and death from infancy to old age. The BBC's May Stollard.
the three key areas that they're looking at is, first of all, to try and just reduce the levels of plastic in the environment. We've seen, these awful pictures of plastic littering our oceans and potentially causing issues for human health. So looking to cut the levels of production, but also ban the most potentially cancer-causing, most harmful chemicals, and trying to improve design globally. So that could include, for example, those plastic bottle tops attached to the bottle to try and reduce the levels of waste. And then finally, there's the money to try and make that happen. Could there be some sort of universal tax that they get plastic packages to pay?
Recapping on your top stories, the lawyer representing the Zambian government has disputed reports that the late former President Edgar Lungu was persecuted in his home country. Proceedings are underway in the High Court in Pretoria, where the Zambian government is challenging Lungu's final resting place. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Minutes into 2 p.m. Central African Time, the Upside in its golden hour. Welcome if you've just tuned in. Mmatsheko keeping you company until 4 p.m. in Central African Time. Let's look at property. Let's look at property and how this as a sector is going to be taking on an initiative to come through with some tools, as well as some training and support that is needed to make the industry sustainable when it comes to careers. So career-wise and for the benefit of youth and young people, we're going to be looking at what Property Point is doing as they launch a 26 million rand real estate incubator program. Very interesting, hey? That's coming through in this hour.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter? Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard? Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126 and we will call you back so you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am,
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views. Share your opinion. Engage with the community that values your perspective. Follow us on our social media. Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa, the African Perspective. They talk about what Africans say about Africa. Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective. Midday vibes, great programming, and good company. This is Channel Africa.
Since 1947, the matter never settle. You be but I be get to. Masability lo ya lenu. Better recognize, greatest of all time. No other name then go call mine. As I they shanty them not nice. Tuesday, Wednesday, as long as I jalaba, and they call me the Godfather. Move like an Italian. Have you ever seen a nigga like moi? Each and every lady wanna give me When they smoke weed, when they smoke cigar. Now we there, I try to move out. I know two pass, give me solo man. I get high, adrenaline. You know like me, one more. My guys is fun alone. Cause my guys don't follow no. When the sky start falling down, worry about dying. I'm still on daddy.
Olele fala, my pretty Malayami. Mountain don't follow on me. My jetty color, wait for low salam on me. Engine the bakalang on me. What I love on me. Wait for love on me. My pretty color on me. Who you go on me? The bakalang on me. My name is Sana. I give you my color, my band with all of me. Keep the banga so tell Yap, I chalaba. Tiki tiki bang, and no chalo ami. Wait, chalaba me. Himanga melu yestawa. Kalanja banga na matala. I'm a kiss, I'm a consavana. Let's go let go taba. Shiviram, say. If you could boot this, can I play? So battle manga me. Yo.
On Talaba. Tuesday, Talaba. Jalaba, and they call me the Godfather. Move like an Italian.
Olele fala, my pretty Malayami. Mountain don't follow on me. My jetty color, wait for low salam on me. Engine the bakalang on me. What I love on me. Wait for love on me.
On +27 63 406 9126.
I can see my whole world changing.
And contribute to the conversation.
Annie Kalonji sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons danser au son de Haya, que je dédicace à vous tous, chers auditeurs, qui êtes en train de suivre cette émission Mix Vibration. N'oubliez pas, vous pouvez nous suivre à partir de l'application SABC+. Vous choisissez Channel Africa pour suivre l'émission en direct. Nous allons danser au son de Haya.
Annie Kalonji, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Zochitika ndimodapiri kamlondola wazochitika pena paliponse
unduna wazamalonda kumalawi waletsa kampani yopanga shuga ya Ilovo yomwe ndi nthambi ya Ilovo Sugar Group Limited kuti isiye kutumiza shuga kumaiko akunja. Malingana ndi nduna ya zamalonda Vitumbuko Mumba, izi zithandiza kuti shuga yemwe yakusowa pamsika azipezeka. Ndiye pano ndili ndi George Muhangu amene ali mu mzinda wa Blantyre mu dziko la Malawi. Chimene chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndi chani?
Chomwe chikupangitsa kuti shuga azisowa ndichonena kuti panopo ili ngati off season ya makampani a Ilovo Sugar Malawi, kunena kuti sakutha kupanga shugayi okwanira chifukwa akukolola. Ndiye akamaliza kukolola pameneno atayambeno sopano kugaya shugayi kuti azipezeka. Chinanso ndichonena kuti ma distributors amene akumakagula sugar kaya ndi ku Ilovo kaya ndi kusalima sugar akumagulisa ku maiko akunja ngati Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Mozambique.
Zochitika ndimodapiri lolemba mpaka lachisanu pa nthawi ya 7 koloko kufikira 8 koloko madzulo pa Channel Africa.
Let the Upside transport you from Cape to Cairo every weekday from 2 to 5 p.m. Central African Time.
All right, Mondays we talk property on the Upside. Thank you very much for joining us. So we are just gearing up to get into conversation about what the property sector is doing in South Africa, with Property Point having launched a 26 million real estate incubator program. This is in partnership with the Industrial Development Corporation, and how they've designed it, it looks like they are going to be creating an incubation for 699 young people, and this is to create jobs for 699 young people. That is really going to be about equipping them with the tools, the necessary training and support that they need to build sustainable careers within the property sector. But I mean, just looking at the sector overall, it looks like, according to Youth in Property Association, I beg your pardon, or YIPA as it's known, well, they've recorded that the property market on the African continent presents both challenges and opportunities for young people, while many young Africans are eager to participate in the property sector. So they often face barriers such as affordability is a big one, limited access to finances, and a lack of awareness about the opportunities that they have access to. So organizations like Youth in Property Association are working to address these challenges by promoting youth participation in ownership, as well as management and employment within the property industry. So I think just based on that, it is very telling about not only how young people think about how they can possibly get into the sector and participate, but really just how the industry and the sector is designed to make sure that young people know about what they can do, know about the training, know about the access that they have. Is it limited? Is it open for me to do so right now? Because as soon as something looks a little too exclusive, if we could put it that way, then the barrier to access becomes just that much higher. And young people then just feel like they cannot be included in the space. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Property Point is not only injecting a huge financial, injection, as it were, into this particular incubation program, but really how it's going to facilitate an opening of the industry so that young people know that they have access to opportunities within the property sector. So that conversation is coming through. We're hoping to get in touch with Sean Tienaisen, founder of Property Point and entrepreneurship to talk to us about this particular incubation, creating jobs for just a little under 700 young people, and what the future looks like in the property sector.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine, weekdays 6 till 9.
In recent weeks, East Africa has seen a disturbing rise in human rights violations. In Kenya, digital activist Rose Njeri was arrested under the Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act after creating a tool for citizens to oppose the Finance Bill 2025. Meanwhile, in Tanzania, Kenyan activist Boniface Mwangi and Ugandan lawyer Agatha Atuhaire reported being detained, tortured, and sexually assaulted by security officers.
East Africa needs a reset. We need to get back East Africa to where the founding fathers are. When President Nyerere and his colleagues Jomo Kenyatta and the Ugandan counterparts fought for independence, they fought for independence to get Africans out of poverty, to get Africans out of slavery. The leaders who took up power have since gotten into regression.
Neto Agostino, co-leader of the United Green Movement Party.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine. Mmatsheko, Mosito and Tebogo Lekhuleni on the upside.
Let me see you.
19 minutes into 2 p.m. I beg your pardon, in Central African time. Thank you for staying with us. Coming through with Kiz Daniel with Buga, the title of the song. So we are talking property. You know, on Mondays in the golden hour of the show, we look at property matters. And in some progressive news, it looks like South Africa's youth unemployment crisis remains one of the country's most pressing challenges, with more than 60% of young people between the ages of 15 and 24 out of work. In response, Property Point has launched a 26 million rand real estate incubator program. So we're looking here at just a little under 1.5 million US dollars in investment, and this is in partnership with the Industrial Development Corporation. The initiative is designed to create 699 new jobs, as we understand it, by equipping young people with the tools, the necessary training and support they need to build sustainable careers within this particular sector. The program goes beyond training, as we see it, by directly addressing the barriers that have kept many from entering the industry. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about support. Let's talk about mentorship. Let's talk about development and all the things that matter when we look at incubation at this level. Okay, joining us is Sean Tienaisen, founder of Property Point and Entrepreneurship. Thank you, Entrepreneurship to the Point. Thank you very much for joining us, Sean. Welcome to Channel Africa.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners. Sean Tienaisen here, and this is quite an exciting initiative for us. Property Point's been working within the property value chain, most probably for the past 17 years, since 2008, supporting emerging black businesses within running their businesses. And now this venture is to be able to focus on creating inroads for youth within the real estate environment.
Well, thank you. You've already answered my first question about why this is so significant, but I think let's talk about the 26 million rand injection and how it's going to work within this particular incubation program.
Yeah, so it's really great because we've got so many different partners that have come on board to be able to support this in making it actually something that is viable. So this is in partnership with the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, the Department of Employment and Labor, as well as the Industrial Development Corporation, who is the fund administrator for this funding. We've also just excitedly last week got an additional funder on board. We can't make that public as yet. Once we have signed all the documentation, we'll make that public. But this means that, you know, we have funding, as you mentioned, of 26 million for the next 3 years to support 699 young people. So why real estate, and what is this funding going to be going towards? I think, firstly, from a real estate perspective, it's one of those industries that is what we believe is a cornerstone industry in the economy that is able to create multiple economic opportunities. But it's quite a tough industry to start off in. So if you want to become a real estate agent within South Africa, typically it's commission only. So you need to be able to fund yourself in order to be able to start and learn about the industry. And I guess that becomes a huge barrier, especially for youth coming from disadvantaged backgrounds, black youth in South Africa, that is not able to necessarily support themselves. So part of the funding is really much to be able to create that runway for them and to provide stipends as they start learning and understanding the industry, with many other benefits as well along the way.
Okay, you mentioned some very important issues, Sean, in terms of how the property sector operates within South Africa, and, you know, it being so self-funded as a methodology. But let's talk about how that can possibly change, perhaps in considering how these participants that you are incorporating into your incubation program are going to be supported. You know, when you look at those challenges, I think perhaps that's a question. When you look at the challenge of some of the barriers to entry, how is the program then going to support the participants to navigate all of that?
Yes, I think firstly the biggest barrier to entry that we identified was the fact that this real estate industry is commission-based only. So, as I mentioned, there's no fixed monthly payment. You only, once you sell or rent out properties, that's how you're able to start making money. So first thing that we're doing is we're putting in stipends. So depending on whether you are in sales or in rentals, there's a different stipend plan in place. But at least on average, the first 5 months is going to have a minimum stipend in order to be able to firstly get people to work, get them to where they need to be, get them to understand and learn the industry. The second opportunity or the second benefit that we're really going to put in place is then also, in order for you to become a real estate agent and operate in South Africa, you have to pay a licensing fee. This is normally around 3,200, and without that licensing fee, you are not able to operate and start learning. So it's called the FFC certificate. We will then also be funding the FFC certificates for these young people coming in. And then thirdly is also being able to provide them with access to equipment such as a laptop in order for them to be able to operate. But they'll also get some personal training and development, work readiness training, really getting a broader understanding of how to show up in the workplace. And then secondly, hands-on mentorship from top real estate brands that we're working with to be able to give them the exposure to learn on the job, to understand how the industry works, and for them to make it to become successful within real estate. I think if we look at some of these programs that's on TV, listing Josie, listing Cape Town, and all the international programs, it becomes such a vibrant industry to be in. But if you don't overcome these barriers, it's difficult for new entrants to really enter into it.
Right. Okay, if you've just tuned in conversation with Sean, who's founder of Property Point and Entrepreneurship to the Point, talking about a very important incubation program for young people in South Africa that are looking to get into the property sector. So it looks like there's a big cash injection into the launching of this program, a good 26 million South African rands into the real estate incubator program, as they call it. Sean, talk to me about, we're in August. This is a good time for us to have conversations around the participation of women in various sectors, and property, of course, being the one that we are talking about today. So talk to us about how many young women are going to be brought into this program, because as I understand it, we're looking at 699 new jobs that could possibly come out of this program.
Yeah, so I think that for us, as Property Point, we've always focused around having a strong gender lens. Our aim throughout all the programs that we host, whether it's our kind of incubation programs for property property companies or any businesses in the real estate chain, or our She Builds program, our aim is to look at least 60 to 70% of participants being women, and this is not different for this program as well. So the aim is really that there is a key focus around gender, but it creates an opportunity across the board, with the unemployment rates the way it's with the numbers that's there, with the unemployment rate. As a young person that has ambition, that wants to really progress within a sales environment, within real estate as a career, this is a perfect opportunity for you to be able to apply for the program.
Right. Okay, so you speak about, it sounds like opportunity is still open. Should I wish to get into the program, what is the criterion very quickly, and where can I go to apply?
Yeah, so our criteria is ideally you need to be qualify as a youth, so you need to be below the age of 35. So that becomes one of the most critical criteria. Right. And then within the application process, there's other various methods. So ideally, what we want to be able to attract initially is youth that do have access to a vehicle, because you need to be able to go out, find properties or take clients through to view property. So a vehicle will be quite critical for you to have. And any other sales experience would also be be useful. But the aim of the program will be to also take people with no experience and train them up. There might be other opportunities for youth that don't have a vehicle to be able to slot into the program and learn on the other side of the administration element of property renting and selling. So if you are an ambitious young person with an aim and a passion for real estate, please do go to our website. So you can go to propertypoint.org.za, and on there you will find a link to the site. Also, SA Mobi, Youth Mobi, that is also another channel for you to be able to find the link and apply for the program. But propertypoint.org.za is our main website, and the details of the program and the link to apply will be on there.
Okay, Sean, thank you very much. I think this is so important. So if I were you, I would do so right now. If you're under the age of 35, propertypoint.org could be your ticket to economic freedom. Thank you very much, Sean, and all the best with the program. Yes.
Yes, maybe to mention as well, all the social media, so LinkedIn, Instagram, X, we are available, and you can find us there as well, Property Point.
Okay, sounds good. Property Point everywhere. And I think if you just Google that, you'll be able to find the link tree. Let's cross to the sports desk.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Di Makura with your latest sports news. At the SAWAS of the Confederation of African Football's 47th Ordinary General Assembly will be held in Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of Congo on the 6th of October. So the Ordinary General Assembly will bring together leading figures in African football, including the presidents of CAF's 54 member associations, representatives from the 6 zonal unions, as well as the senior football officials from across the continent. Now, CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe will chair the 47th annual General CAF meeting. On to this now. Kenya's Harambee Stars head coach Benny McCarthy has lauded his players for their fighting spirit as they kicked off their African Nations Championship Chan tournament by edging out the tournament favourites, the Democratic Republic of Congo, by 1-0 at the Kasarani Stadium in Nairobi last night. So the victory also marks a perfect start for the host side, who were making their debut in this year's Chan tournament.
First of all, I'm very proud of my team. Many of them, it's the first time that they step out on such a big stage. The fact that they played against one of the tournament's favorites in my eyes, this is a team with so much experience, DRC. They've won this tournament twice in the past, so they know what winning is about. They know what it is about playing in this tournament. And for us, who's very novice.
Now, the victory also gives Kenya a crucial 3 points in Group A, which also features top footballing countries, with the likes of Morocco, Zambia, as well as Angola part of that group. So Kenya's next game will be against Angola, who also narrowly lost to the Atlas Lions of Morocco by 1-0 in the opening game at the Nyayo National Stadium, also played in the city of Nairobi. McCarthy says they will take the positives from the opening game into the next match.
Did the job what was asked of them, and now we can prepare in a relaxed fashion and look forward to the next match, which is Angola, and we can forget about this and take the good that we did today and take it and hopefully take it on to the next match.
On to athletics news now. Soweto 4-time marathon winner Yvette van Zyl is bracing for the worst as uncertainty continues to loom over this year's race due to a leadership standoff. Now, the Soweto Marathon Trust, as well as the newly established non-profit organisation group, are locked in a power struggle over the event's hosting rights. Van Zyl, who is eager to compete at this year's marathon, says she's working on a contingency plan in case the marathon is called off.
Well, it's not looking good, the news that I see about Soweto, so it's debatable 50-50 if it's going on. So I'm making different plans, but if Soweto happens, I will definitely be there. Unfortunately, last year I had to miss it. I had to talk on the TV and not run, so that was really hard. If Soweto happens, I will really be gunning for it.
At the same time, Van Zyl, who clocked in 6 hours, 11 minutes and 35 seconds to finish fourth in her Comrades Marathon debut earlier on this year, said that the cancellation of the Soweto Marathon would be heartbreaking. She's aiming now to capture her fifth Soweto Marathon title and add to her remarkable road running legacy in South Africa.
It will be heartbreaking if it doesn't happen, but it looks like they're getting stuff right. I don't know the whole story about it. I'm just reading what you're reading basically in the news, and you're probably writing about it, so you know more than me.
Right, so that concludes your sports news this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email. The email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with a final sports update on the upside in the third and final hour of the program. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective. In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Thulisile Buddha, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Thulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African Perspective.
All right, 14:36. Let's check in with the economics news. Chandugolegege, what's happening?
Business news on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Good afternoon. As trade relations between South Africa and the U.S. continue to decline, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation Ronald Lamola says the country is now diversifying its trade partners and exploring alternative markets, including China. Lamola noted that the impact on the economy is expected to be minimal, around 0.2% of South Africa's GDP growth. It is estimated that 30,000 jobs are at risk. While briefing the media in Johannesburg, he emphasized that the country's economic future remains resilient.
The reduction in growth from the 30% tariffs depends on a number of factors, including our ability to find alternative markets. It should be noted, however, that 85% of South Africa's exports remain exempted from the tariffs. All applicable exemptions published in the previous U.S. executive order are said to remain in force.
Still on the trade tensions between South Africa and the U.S., Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Staal, says the government will continue engaging with Washington. He emphasized that negotiations will be conducted in the best interest of the country. While acknowledging the challenges, Staal also highlighted that the situation presents an opportunity to further strengthen the African Continental Free Trade Area.
We are working with our colleagues in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. As indicated earlier, we have also ratified various protocols. We are accelerating work to address what are some of the niggly issues that need resolution, including issues on rules of origin with regards to the auto sector, clothing and textile.
South African Transport Minister Barbara Creecy and Deputy Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa have welcomed the department's clean audit outcome from the Auditor General South Africa. They say they see it as a step toward a fully accountable administration. The department's spokesperson Colin Msibi says the Auditor General found no significant deficiencies in the department's financial management processes.
This is the first time in 31 years that the department has achieved a clean audit outcome.
BP has made its largest oil and gas discovery in 25 years offshore Brazil in a potential big boost for the British company following its strategic shift away from renewable energy to refocus on fossil fuels. BP is seeking to bolster oil and gas in its portfolio to regain investor confidence and revive underperforming shares. It says it has planned to create a major new output hub discovery in Brazil. Tesla has granted 96 million new shares worth about $29 billion to CEO Elon Musk, a move aimed at keeping the billionaire entrepreneur at the helm as he fights a court ruling that voided his original pay deal for being unfair to shareholders. In 2024, a Delaware court voided Musk's 2018 compensation package valued at $50 billion, citing that the Tesla board's approval process was flawed and unfair to shareholders. Let's have a look at financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 Naira 532, Botswana 13 Pula 41, Kenya the dollar is at 128 shilling 521, Zambia 22 Kwacha 86. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 Real 54, Russia 79 rubles 87, India 87 rupee 18, China 71.19, South Africa 18 rand 4 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is at $3,360, platinum at $1,318 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil $68.74 a barrel. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 117144459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligegi.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. The Midnight Snack every Monday, 12 to 3 a.m. with Chanduko Ligege.
That is just me trying to imagine myself as a backup singer for Zonke, because her music is just beautiful. As the song was playing, I was just, moving like a backup singer. You know how they are, with their hands being so dramatic and, putting that spice into the song. So the song is called Say Now, and we love it here on the Midnight Snack. I hope you also love it.
Let's talk love, intimacy, and relationships on the Midnight Snack with Chanduko Ligege. Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Love it way more. I say treasy, sir.
Niger
love it way more. Yeah. Oh, Ferrari look good on you. Bugatti look good on you. Gucci look good on you. Louis good on you. Ask you one question, I want to hear this from you. Girl, I want to know. I want the drink garri, yeah. Say you go do all the thing where you say you go do for me, yeah. If I no get the money, oh, yeah. Say you go stand by me, yeah. Say you go do all the thing where you say you go do for me, yeah. Bam bam, you know that and I know that and my love for you no get pattern. Right man we do like San Sultan. Sing it out loud any way that I can. Oh, my mommy, oh, my daddy, oh. Soon they go miss you, my baby, oh. Somebody, oh somebody. For your matter, I go kiss somebody, oh. You know this love, something's not a joking thing. Baby girl, you know something. Say that somebody do somebody. For your matter, I go kiss somebody. Say it, is it me and you, mommy, oh. Is it me and you, mommy, oh. Yeah. Ferrari look good on you. Bugatti look good on you. Gucci look good on you. Louis good on you. Ask you one question, I want to hear this from you. Girl, I want to know. Say you go there for me, yeah. If I the drink garri, yeah. Say you go do all the thing where you say you go do for me, yeah. If I no get the money, oh, yeah. Say you go stand by me, yeah. Say you go do all the thing where you say you go do for me, oh. I'm just asking you a question. Mommy, you no need to vex you. If this wasn't my position, say you go give me your best, yo. I love you, girl, no be baby. You know for sure you're my baby. I'll be awake when you sleeping, just to make sure I'm not dreaming, no, not dreaming, no. You know that I love you, baby. Do anything for you, baby. Ferrari logo down you, Bugatti logo down you, Gucci logo down you, Louis go down you. Let me ask you one question, me want to hear this from you. Bad man want no, oh, girl I want no.
NigerExclusive.net.
Techno coming through with On You, the title of the song. Thank you so much for sticking around. The Upside with you until 4 p.m. in Central African time. If you've just tuned in, my name is Mosito and I'm hosting the space for you. We're going to check in with what caught your eye in just a moment. You let us know what has caught your eye and I will let you what has caught my eye. Okay, it's very economic space, so we're going to chat about that in just a moment. But very quickly, just to let you know that SABC Sport brings you Chasing the Sun. So this is a powerful 5-part documentary series about the Springboks, telling the rousing tale of their path to redemption and ultimate World Cup glory from the year 2019. It started in July and it continues to air at 7:30 p.m. on SABC2. So please tune in every single Sunday as you catch the highs, as you catch the heartache, and also check in with the heroics that made rugby history. You're also welcome to stream each chapter on SABC Plus any time of the day, anywhere you are. So there's no subscriptions needed for that. So don't miss it. It's called Chasing the Sun and it comes through this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. in Central African time on SABC2.
She builds, she leads, she rises. This August, join Channel Africa in celebrating the women who shape our communities, shift narratives, and carve out a future on their own terms.
These women together ought to be able to turn it right again.
From Cape Town to Kigali, Lagos to Lusaka, African women are rewriting the script. Here's to courage, creativity, and unstoppable progress. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Okay, so here we are. Let's do what caught your eye. What caught my eye is really just looking at what's happening with regards to these U.S. tariffs. I know sometimes it's really difficult to follow because there's just so much happening, not just with the tariffs, but other economic issues that are affecting us on the African region. And also it just depends on what's happening in your particular country that could be taking priority in your mind. And, just in terms of proximity, we always focus on what's happening in our particular country. So let's look at what's happening with regards to the creativity, if I could call it that, around South Africa and how they are looking at expanding markets amidst the U.S. tariffs. So you're welcome to let me know if there's anything that is economically happening in your country with regards to the U.S. tariffs. But let's talk about South Africa for a moment, okay? They are implementing a strategy to target new export markets in Asia, in the Middle East, and in other parts of the African region. Of course, this following the imposition of the 30% U.S. tariff on its goods. So this tariff is going to be effective from this week, actually. So we're looking at the 7th of August in just a few short days. Thursday would be the 7th of August. And this tariff is a serious issue because it threatens jobs and economic growth in a variety of sectors. Okay, we're looking at agriculture, we're looking at mining, we're looking at automotive manufacturing, and so many other places. Government officials are going to be affected by this. And it could also reduce the gross domestic profit by 0.2%, while measures like trade missions and exemptions aim to mitigate the impact. This is one story that I think we should all be watching as African people throughout the month to see the creative problem solving that this is going to spark, because the tariffs are here. Okay, there's nothing we can do about that at this point in time. The 30% tariffs are here. They're going to affect a variety of different sectors, yourself included. So whether you are self-employed as an entrepreneur, whether you are in the trade business, whether you are in corporate, it doesn't matter what you're doing, whether you are freelancing. Listen, anyone and everyone is going to feel the pinch come the 7th of August, looking particularly at the South African region. So what creative problem solving solutions are you coming up with in your organization? How are you going to tackle this? How are you going to try and, mitigation's not the right word, but really just to navigate through the challenge, and make sure that you keep people employed, make sure that you keep your business afloat. And I think for people that are in the trade business, trading is going to be so much more expensive. So how are you going to deal with that? So many things to deal with. But I really would love to hear from you as a business person or just somebody who's moving within your own organization in a unique manner, in a manner that wants to be progressive, that wants to create jobs, that wants to serve humanity. Maybe what you are doing is so important, like agriculture as an industry, for example. Of course, I would want to talk about that because, listen, that is the industry that feeds the nation. That is the industry that is most important. Even the ones that have implemented these tariffs have to have something to eat. So agriculture as an industry being very important, how does that affect trade, import and export and all of that? But creative problem solving right now, I think that's the big conversation. How are we creatively going to move through these economically challenging times? I would love to hear your opinion, your thoughts and opinions. Most welcome on our social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in. We are fast approaching 3 p.m. in Central African Time.
Ukatili wa kijinsia unaharibu maisha na kutenga jamii. Hutokea nyumbani, shuleni, kazini na mara nyingi kwa ukimya. Lakini hauwezi kuendelea. Ukiona, ongea. Ikiwa unaumia, funguka, kwa sababu kutofanya lolote sio chaguo. Sikiliza vituo vyote 19 vya redio kuanzia Jumatano ya tarehe 23 Julai kwenye mijadala, ushauri, tamthilia, maonyesho ya elimu na mahojiano na wataalamu. wataalam, manusura, watunga sheria na nchi nzima iliyoathirika na ukatili wa kijinsia kwenye vituo vyako pendwa vya redio. Piga simu 0800-428-428 ili kuripoti unyanyasaji au kupata msaada. GBV ikomeshwe na wewe. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwenu na shirika la SABC.
The Upside with Tebogo Lekhuleni and Mosito, bringing Africa's voices to the world. On Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Tell me when to say love me, Ginger. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah. I need your loving, so fresh, so clean. Love me in and out, unfailingly. And I'll be down now. Anytime you call me, I'll be down. I'll be down. Because I love and I love and I love and I love you only. Because I need and I need and I need and I need you more. Yeah, you know I run and I run and I run and I run. Fly, we can fly in the sky in the night. Hold me in your arms and your love and your light. I'm on your wave right now. I'm on your wave right now. Yeah. I'm on your vibe now. You got me on your side now. Yeah, I'm on your wave right now. Yeah. If not you, then I don't wanna know. I don't want no story. Day and night is unconditional. Got me living softly. Yeah. Love me judge, love me tender. You know your love turn me up like Nepa. Anything you want and I'ma do whatever. Because I love and I love and I love and I love you only. Yeah. Because I need and I need and I need and I need you more. Yeah, you know I run and I run and I run and I run. Fly in the sky in the night. Hold me in your arms and your love and your light. I'm on your wave right now. I'm on your wave right now. Yeah. I'm on your vibe now. You got me on your side now. Yeah, I'm on your wave right now. Yeah. Said love me judge, love me tender. Love me judge, love me tender. Said love me judge, love me tender. Love me judge, love me tender. You my sugar, my honey, my tender lover. You my sugar, my honey, my tender lover. You are my sugar, my honey, my tender lover. My sugar, my honey, my tender lover. Why would you just open your mouth and say something? Actually, terrified.
Music by Thames coming through with Love Me Jeje. Would love to know what Jeje means. Please tweet me and let me know what that means. But it's a beautiful tune nonetheless. Definitely, whether you are seated or up on your dancing shoes. This is definitely a big hit on the African continent. And Thames is one of those kind of forces to be reckoned with, you know, from the African continent, and just spreading the good news of what we are capable of in the space of music. But really want to note something beautiful that she's doing, Thames that is. She made an announcement at the start of July that in the month of August, she's going to be launching a groundbreaking mentorship program for women in music. All right. She's definitely leading the vibe by the sounds of things. She's no stranger to big moves herself, you know, going from just humble beginnings, if we could put it that way, to being this multi-Grammy winning artist. So she's definitely done the work. She knows about the business choices that are available to women in terms of how they can sort of partake in the space of music. So she's come through with this announcement, which I think is so important, and we're going to be watching it closely. I guess if you're a young woman who looks up to other artists like Thames and you want to partake in the music business, this is definitely something to watch, because she also speaks about how the music industry works. She talks about launching this initiative, and according to reports, it looks like it's going to be representing quite a bit. It's going to come through with a large percentage, if I could put it that way, of participation for women across the African region. All right. This is according to Africa, okafrica.com. That's where you can find more details about this initiative. I think, listen, it is of obligation that if you've made it in a particular space, that you pay it forward to the next generation. So we are watching very closely what's going to be happening with Leading Vibe, as she calls this initiative, and how it's not only going to discover new talent, but how it's going to showcase what is possible economically. Speaking of economics and other things that are making news, we cross to Onelen Nzinzi's news desk to find out what she has for us.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko. Looking at your top stories, court proceedings between Zambian government and the late former President Edgar Lungu, and warning that plastic pollution is a grave and growing danger. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Counsel for the late former President Edgar Lungu family, Advocate Caspar Wielgemoed, has argued that there is no evidence that the late former Zambian president wanted to be buried in Zambia. This as the government of Zambia and the Lungu family are engaged in a court battle over where the late former president should be buried. The Lungu family want Edgar to be buried in South Africa in a private ceremony, while the Zambian government wants him to be repatriated back home. Advocate Wielgemoed says that any argument stating that Lungu wanted to be buried at home should be dismissed.
There's no evidence showing that he wanted to be buried in Zambia, and they cannot make that submission to the court, and this court can never find such a fact exists. Wherefore, those parts in our striking application is all hearsay and irrelevant.
Residents in Nigeria's northwestern Zamfara estate say that more than 60 people, including children, were kidnapped by bandits over the weekend. This is the latest incident in a growing wave of mass abductions. They say heavily armed men on motorbikes targeted the village of Sabon Garin Damri. 11 people were reportedly killed. Nigeria is grappling with a thriving kidnapping for ransom industry that appears to be taking hold in the country's impoverished north. South Africa's National Police Commissioner Fanny Masemola, together with senior SAPS officials, are meeting with Lesotho National Police Commissioner Advocate Boroto Matsuso. They are discussing allegations that there are illegal Basotho military training camps in South Africa. Previously, Masemola said law enforcement agencies in South Africa conducted investigations, but none of the camps were discovered. Police spokesperson Atlenda Mate.
General Fanny Masemola has reached out to the Lesotho Police Chief, where the two commissioners discussed the allegations made by Advocate Matsoso. Both commissioners agreed that both law enforcement agencies' intelligence structures are on the ground to investigate the existence of such camps. General Fanny Masemola assures all people living in South Africa that the safety and security of the people of SA is of paramount importance, and anyone who is found to be in the country committing illegal acts will face the full might of the law.
At least 76 migrants have died after a boat with about 157 people on board sank off the coast of Yemen in bad weather. The vessel capsized off Yemen's southern province of Abyan yesterday. The Yemen chief of the International Organization for Migration told the BBC that 12 people have been rescued, but dozens were unaccounted for. Reports say the migrants are believed to be Ethiopian. The BBC's Kolkidani Beltan.
This is a recurring tragedy. Even earlier this year, around March, there was a similar accident in that similar area. So this is a similar trend that we're seeing. And whenever it happens, from the authorities, the reaction seems to be they pledge and vow to tackle this, what they call illegal routes, particularly what's known as the eastern route, in which several migrants take boats from neighboring Djibouti through Yemen in the hope of reaching Saudi Arabia.
And lastly, plastic experts are warning that plastic pollution is a grave, growing and under-recognized danger to health. Thus, it is costing the world at least $1.5 trillion a year. In a review to coincide with talks in Geneva, they say plastics cause diseases and death from infancy to old age. The BBC's May Stollard.
The three key areas that they're looking at is, first of all, to try and just reduce the levels of plastic in the environment. We've seen, these awful pictures of plastic littering our oceans and potentially causing issues for human health. So looking to cut the levels of production, but also ban the most potentially cancer-causing, most harmful chemicals, and try and improve design globally. So that could include, for example, those plastic bottle tops attached to the bottle to try and reduce the levels of waste. And then finally, there's the money to try and make that happen. Could there be some sort of universal tax that they get plastic packages to pay?
Recapping on your top stories, counsel for the late former President Edgar Lungu's family, Advocate Casper Velgemoeg, has argued that there is no evidence that the late former Zambian president wanted to be buried in Zambia. This says the government of Zambia and the Lungu family are engaged in a court battle over where the late former president should be buried. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the grand finale of The Upside on a Monday, essentially the first Monday for this brand new month of August. It is a pleasure to have you join us this afternoon. We are going to be looking at artificial intelligence as technology for Africa's small to medium enterprise funding ecosystem. Okay, so listen, when we say that today's show is going to be on a progressive level, we really meant it. So we're going to be looking at Vula closing Africa's $400 billion funding gap with artificial intelligence. Yes, you heard right. Billion is what I said. Okay, so Vula is working to make business growth across Africa more accessible by removing the barriers that small and medium enterprises are facing when applying for funding. With over 100,000 SMEs already supported, the company's technology is here to help reduce the time, I guess, as well as the cost and complexity of securing capital. So we know that that's a big issue. If you were to walk towards any young person in business or whoever it is that's looking for funding and tap them on the shoulder, or that's in business, I want to say, and tap them on the shoulder, the first thing they would list as a concern is, I just don't have access to funding. That is the thing for me. I could grow in leaps and bounds if I had the right channels to access funding. So with that, we're going to be looking at automation and AI as Vula connects businesses to funders and simplifying applications. That's another one. Can it be pithy? Can it be simple? Can it be submitted, and can I get a response as quickly as possible? Those are just some of the things that are going to be coming through in our conversation as we speak to Chief Executive Officer of Vula, Nick Rauhani, who's going to be joining us on the line. And we really are going to look at who Vula is, right? And how they've been able to close this funding gap of $400 billion within artificial intelligence to make all of this possible for entrepreneurs. Anything you'd like to contribute to this conversation, we'd love to hear from you. please drop us a line at Channel Africa 1 on Twitter, or X as it's now called. I don't think I'll ever stop calling it Twitter, but here we are. X. Hashtag The Upside. Just let us know what your thoughts are in terms of business or let's put it this way, the role of artificial intelligence in business, the role of artificial intelligence in possibly being able to create access to funding, to opportunity, to collaborative efforts that are going to make businesses and startups, I think most importantly, kickstart on a right note and also become sustainable. 9 minutes past 3 p.m. Welcome to The Upside if you've just tuned in.
Big news from Channel Africa. Now you can listen and watch your favorite shows on Channel Africa. Channel Africa is streaming live on the internet on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1 from 6 a.m. till 9 p.m. Central African Time. Download the SABC Plus app or visit our website www.channelafrica.co.za and stream us live on all our social media pages at Channel Africa 1. Channel Africa now streaming for your eyes and ears only. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The Upside, live and real.
Gosto de a ti te acontecer, as coisas estranhas na nossa terra, tá mudança a ti te acontecer, cá tem monte de caras a gaguejar, ilha do espaço a tremer que me, querer na mistério com preciso não. Gosto de a ti te acontecer, as coisas estranhas na nossa terra, tá mudança a ti te acontecer, cá tem monte de caras a gaguejar, ilha do espaço a tremer que me, querer na mistério com preciso não. E é de nós meninas, nós a mulher, já te arriscado nos calendários, trabalhadores que a mexer, é medo um terremoto, democracia que te comprou, não se copira nem florir, sentimento povo que te brincou, que não mexe com nossa tradição, história de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento, história de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento. História de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento. História de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento. Outro dia a ti te acontecer, as coisas estranhas na nossa terra, tá mudança a ti te acontecer, que até muito cara já gaguejar. Ilha do espaço da tremer que me, querer na mistério com preciso não. Mas todo dia a ti te acontecer, as coisas estranhas na nossa terra, tá mudança a ti te acontecer, que até muito cara já gaguejar. Ilha do espaço da tremer que me, querer na mistério com preciso não. E é de nós meninas, nós a mulher, já te arriscado nos calendários, trabalhadores que a mexes, é medo um terremoto, democracia que te comprou, não se copira nem florir, sentimento povo que te brincou, que não mexe com nossa tradição, história de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento, história de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento, história de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento, história de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento. História de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento. História de nossas terras, querer cambar no esquecimento.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
13 minutes past 3 p.m. in Central African time. The barefoot diva Cesaria Ivora representing Cape Verde coming through with some wonderful music in the grand finale of the Upside, the Monday edition. So we are continuing with all things very progressive conversation coming through. All right, just by the way. So if you've just tuned in, you may have missed the fact that we're going to be speaking about something wonderful. Vula is working to make business growth across Africa more accessible by removing the barriers that small to medium sized enterprises, I beg your pardon, are facing when they start applying for funding. So we're looking here at over 100 SMEs that are already being supported by this initiative. The company's technology is helping to reduce time, it's helping to reduce cost and the complexity of securing capital. So through automotive AI tools, Vula connects businesses to funders and also simplifying applications by turning existing business documents into complete, ready-to-submit answers. Now, if that's the solution, I don't know what is, okay? Let's speak about this vision with the Chief Executive Officer of Vula, Nick Rauhani, who joins us on the line. Nick, good afternoon. This is very exciting to speak to you on Channel Africa. Okay, let's do this. Let's take a break and come back with Nick after this.
Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K
or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo kutuli bwanji ndi
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
16 past 3 p.m. So we are looking at Vula closing Africa's $400 billion funding gap with artificial intelligence. $400 billion, just by the way, with artificial intelligence. I mean, who would have thought that there can be an automation and AI systems that comes through and really effectively connects businesses to funders and simplifying application? So if you're looking to apply and get funding and get capital for your business, this could probably be the solution because it's ready to submit answers that are just there like that. So we're going to be speaking to the man behind this particular vision in his capacity as CEO of Vula. Nick Rauhani joins us on the line. Nick, welcome to Channel Africa. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here. Big fan of Channel Africa.
Oh, that's wonderful to know. Thank you very much. Let's get to kind of understand your career path, so that we can unpack this passion correctly. Nick, talk to us about your participation in private equity, as well as infrastructure across London and Lagos. And how that's informed how you kind of see how we can better build systems, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm actually born and raised in Johannesburg, in Joburg, and my background was in electrical engineering. I spent a lot of time doing Baha'i community development projects in townships across Joburg, and then once I graduated, actually went to Ikawe in the rural Eastern Cape. That got me a Commonwealth scholarship to come to London, which is how I ended up in London. And I was really focused on how can we enable rural communities across Africa to be active agents of their own infrastructure development. Those questions and some of the writing I was doing at the time got me picked up by McKinsey in London. And my work at McKinsey, it really took me into the finance world. I was an engineer first, and then I understood the importance of finance and the power of private equity. I started in doing kind of large private equity deals in software in the US and across London. but then really went back to my roots, which was how do we utilize the power of finance for Africa? And that took me all the way to Lagos, where I was working at the Lagos office, leading teams in African finance and development. And I saw, the huge amount of cost to financiers to actually just run a funding opportunity in the African continent. I also saw the frustration of entrepreneurs when they were trying to go through these processes. People are building huge and amazingly impressive businesses, but they always have to slow down. They always have to chase funders in these incredibly impractical processes that nobody wants to be a part of. And I saw that this was a huge problem, and I really wanted to fix it.
Man, disruption at this level is very, very important, especially with the incorporation of artificial intelligence. I mean, that's where the world is right now. And I was noting the other day that I saw a gentleman talk about the fact that, AI is moving so quickly and growing every 3 months, which is scary, but also poses a lot of opportunity at the same time. So let's talk about incorporating artificial intelligence in your solution program, if you will, through Vula. Talk to us about Vula as a platform and how it's actually going to be addressing some of these pain points as you mentioned them.
Absolutely. So my co-founder, Alex Goff, he's a British boy, blue-eyed British boy, and he'd never even been to Africa when I first met him. Now he's pretty well traveled, but he was building AI systems for some of the biggest banks in the UK. And what the systems were that he built was that he took, very granular data from bank users and used it to match them to the best products that the bank was offering. And our unique insight was that we could build an AI agent that accompanies African businesses and takes their operational data, simple operational data, and uses that to really find the businesses their best funding options across grants, debt, equity, impact investment, with the main goal being to save founders a huge amount of time when they're even looking for what opportunities are out there. So I feel super grateful because, over the past year and a half since we started, actually rolling out our AI funding assistant, we've had more than 2,500 African SMEs actually use it to find funding. We've made over 60,000 automated funding matches. And now it's just kind of going from strength to strength. We're soon going to be launching in both South and East Africa a new funding platform that actually helps hundreds of thousands of SMEs access funding. Wow. And so what it basically does is it uses the data that the business produces in its daily work. Instead of requiring founders to go and write a long application or print out forms and fill them in. Instead, each AI assistant belongs to the SME. All of the data belongs to them. And the AI assistant can go out and find funding opportunities and help the founder put their best foot forward automatically by helping them to apply as well.
Oh, this is legendary. I love it. I think also perhaps if we could gain an understanding of what the actual challenges are when we're looking for funding, we'll better appreciate the system that you've built. So what are some of the challenges that SMEs on the African continent face uniquely when it comes to applying for funding? Is it the knocking on the door and then nobody answers? What actually is it? Are we afraid to go for it and really look for funding because we already just feel like our bubble will be burst before we even try? So what is the actual problem so that we can, I think when we understand that, then we'll better appreciate the system that you've built.
Absolutely. So, look, the truth of the matter is that the funding value chain is broken at multiple stages. The first stage is entrepreneurs even understanding what funding is out there and makes sense for their type of business. Across Africa, we've got one of the most fragmented funding ecosystems in the world because our traditional financial institutions generally don't finance SMEs, right? In the UK or in the US, if you have a good business idea, you go to your local bank, you go with a business plan, you present some traction, and the bank finances you. But for a large majority of SMEs across Africa who require relatively smaller check sizes, so let's say less than $150,000, that's about 2 to 3 million rand. It's just not worth banks supporting them in that way. And so what that means is that the traditional pathways for getting access to finance are closed, and you have to sort of go to this open market of many types of funders. There are charities, there are impact investors, there are private funders, there are people who want you to do a backflip, and if you can do a backflip, then you can get the funding. If you belong to certain demographics, you can get funding. So it's very confusing. So the first step is even entrepreneurs finding out what funding is out there for them and makes sense for their business.
Right.
The second step is actually applying. The application process itself, a lot of the time, takes really long. You don't get clear feedback. Most of the time, you get rejected, and you have to spend serious time putting together a good application for these funders. So you as the entrepreneur, even though you're extremely busy, you've got loads going on in one of the most hostile business environments in the world, at the same time tasked with risking your time and effort for something that's probably not going to pan out. And so the third part that sucks then is that entrepreneurs historically have just stopped engaging with business funders.
Right.
Because they say, look, you don't give me feedback. You just say no to me all the time. You take all of my data. You don't do anything with it. Why would I continue to engage with you? And what that's meant is that we just have less data about successful interactions between SMEs and funders. And so nobody in this ecosystem really knows what a scalable, successful funding ecosystem looks like. So all of that, it's about finding, it's about efficiency in applying and screening, and lastly, it's about knowledge and learning. And so our AI really helps with all three of these. By using the data of the business and its operations to find funding, we stop the amount of time that entrepreneurs need to, look at this very fragmented ecosystem to see, hey, look, I am a young Black entrepreneur. I'm female, I'm in the manufacturing sector, I'm making food. What is out there for me? I don't want to go and spend 3 hours Googling about this and finding all of these opportunities that were from 3 years ago. Just show me what I need now. And so Vula's funding inbox does that. The second part is Vula collects all of that data into one centralized place for entrepreneurs to decide who they want to share what with.
Yes.
But if you've already answered a question, like what's the purpose of your business? Or how much money did you make last year? Why should you repeat yourself? So we don't believe in repetition. Vula's AI assistant has this single knowledge base, which it uses to create these applications. And we even have a WhatsApp assistant that helps our entrepreneurs. They can chat with it to figure out the best ways to answer some of these questions. And then the third part is the learning. Because we're tracking all of the data between the funders and the SMEs, we're actually able to help our funding clients do way better with their back office systems, lower the turnaround times and the cost for them to pre-screen and make decisions. And we also help them give way better feedback to entrepreneurs. So, I'm really proud of some of our current users. For instance, Anzisha Prize from the African Leadership Academy. They use Vula and they're able to give really deep and clear feedback to entrepreneurs that are applying who maybe didn't make it this time, but they're given clear feedback as to what they can do next time in their own business's context.
Great.
And to me, that's all about learning and improving so that, all of us want to build a path to prosperity across Africa.
Okay. Oh man, this is so well thought out, and I think just a deep understanding of the various challenges within the different African regions is really going to make this thrive. Nick, we are unfortunately running out of time, but I want to understand if I'm new to AI, the space can be very intimidating. If all I know is ChatGPT, and now there's Vula, and they're clearly going to open a whole new portal for my business. That can be quite intimidating. So where can I go to find out more information about Vula? Perhaps, gain some non-intimidating, if I could put it that way, information on how this can assist my business to get capital.
Absolutely. Look, our job is to try to make it as simple as possible for SMEs and for founders because they have enough worries for themselves.
Right.
So the best way for you to think about Vula is that Vula really represents your pathway of taking advantage of all of these AI advances, at least from the point of view of a business, and it utilizes all of the context about your business to ask those most important questions and connect you to funders that are relevant. So our goal is to make it super simple. The easiest way to learn about Vula is to go onto our site, www.vula.ai or www.vula.vc, and try it out for yourself. Vula is free for African SMEs. Our whole business model is based around ensuring that no African founder ever pays for access to our products, to ensure that they can really take full advantage of the AI revolution and make AI work for African finance.
I think this is wonderful. You know, as we're moving more and more away from business economies into really structuring our own spaces for business, this is so important. I think subconsciously, Nick, I was a little bit afraid to ask you what the cost is. So thank you for mentioning that it is absolutely free for SMEs on the African continent. So I think this is such a wonderful place to start. And I would take advantage if I were you, a business owner trying to get funding for your business. Nick, thank you. All the best. I think we need a part 2 for this conversation and really just perhaps take one business through their application. I think that would be great fun. Hey.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that would be wonderful. Let's do it.
Yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to get the CEO back on, the CEO of Vula, Nick Rahani, joining us on the line. And we're really talking about closing this gap. I mean, $400 billion is not a small number. So if artificial intelligence can come into the fore and really assist, that would be wonderful. The future is bright for the African continent. We're looking forward to what's to come, and definitely a part 2 is loading as we assist one business to get onto Vula and open space for capital or access to capital, as it were. It's 3:30. What's happening in sports?
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Mosibu Dimakura with your latest sports news at the Sawa. So India have pulled off their narrowest ever win in a test match to share the 5-match series with England 2-2. So they beat their host by 6 runs on the 5th morning of the 5th and final test at the Oval in London earlier on today. England resumed on 339. This for the loss of 6 wickets, requiring just 35 more runs for a victory and to take the series 3-1. But the player of the match, Mohammad Siraj, took 2 wickets inside the first 20 minutes, and England were eventually bowled out for 367 in the 86th over of their second innings to hand India the victory, and that 5-match series being drawn 2-2. Onto this now. Soweto 4-time Soweto Marathon winner Yvette Van Zyl is bracing for the worst as uncertainty continues to loom over this year's race due to a leadership standoff. Now, the Soweto Marathon Trust and the newly established non-profit organisation group are locked in a power struggle over the event's hosting rights. Now, Van Zyl, who is eager to compete, says he's working very hard on a contingency plan in case the marathon does not take place this year.
Well, it's not looking good, the news that I see about Soweto, so it's debatable 50-50 if it's going on. So I'm making different plans, but if Soweto happens, I will definitely be there. Unfortunately, last year I had to miss it. I had to talk on the TV and not run, so that was really hard. If Soweto happens, I will really be gunning for it.
Van Zyl, by the way, who clocked 6 hours, 11 minutes and 35 seconds to finish 4th in the Comrades Marathon debut earlier on in June, said to the national broadcaster, the SABC, that the cancellation of the Soweto Marathon would be heartbreaking. She's aiming to capture her 5th Soweto Marathon title and also add to her remarkable road running legacy.
It will be heartbreaking if it doesn't happen, but it looks like they're getting stuff right. I don't know the whole story about it. I'm just reading what you're reading basically in the news, and you're probably writing about it, so you know more than me.
Onto this now, Noah Lyles believes he is rounding into form at the right time ahead of next month's World Championships in Tokyo, Japan, after a scintillating world-leading 200-meter victory at the US trials on Sunday. So Lyles, the reigning Olympic 100-meter champion, will attempt to defend both his 100-meter as well as his 200-meter crowns in Japan, aiming, of course, to emulate Usain Bolt with a fourth consecutive World 200-meter gold medal. Now, the 28-year-old from Florida warmed up for that challenge in Eugene and Oregon on Sunday by clocking a world-leading 19.63 seconds in a testy battle with Kenny Banarak, also of the USA, who managed a second-place position in those trials. Meanwhile, American sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson missed out on the final of the 200-meter at the US Track and Field Championships in Oregon by 1/100th of a second. She finished fourth in her heat with a time of 22.56 seconds, which was about 0.01 seconds behind Madison White of the USA, who then took the qualifying spot. Now she receives a bye to the World Championships in September in the 100-meter event as defending champion, but her hopes of competing in the 200-meter are all but over. So Richardson, the 100-meter silver medalist at the Paris Olympic Games just last year, ends a turbulent week after being arrested over a domestic violence allegation. The 25-year-old was detained last Sunday in Seattle Tamako International Airport following an altercation with her boyfriend and fellow Team USA star Christian Coleman. Well, that concludes your sports news this afternoon on The Upside. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. I'm back with the final sports update for the afternoon in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosito di Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. This is for when you have to wake your neighbors up. Weekends, 3 to 6 in the morning.
On that beautiful piano tip. This is Angelic, hanging out with Demtuda and the musical chef. Wamuhle basically means you are beautiful. You know what? It makes me think though, if I were a woman, I would be very appreciative, of meeting guys that will tell you that you are beautiful. But I think the annoying part though, you know those ones. Baby, my size. That one should be very annoying. Yeah, no wonder I'm not a woman.
When you have to wake your neighbors up, play them the morning switch on the weekends with the Shy Guy, 3 to 6 in the morning, Central African Time.
15:36, Chandugo Ligege standing by with the latest economics news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Mmatsheko, and good afternoon. Let's start in West Africa. Nigeria's oil production surpassed 1.8 million barrels per day last month, with current average output at 1.78 million barrels per day. The West African country, Africa's largest oil producer, relies on crude oil for nearly 2/3 of government revenue and over 80% of foreign currency earnings, making production gains critical for stabilizing its economy. But widespread oil theft, unrest, and years of underinvestment curtailed output and strained public finances before Nigeria stepped up a crackdown in the oil-rich Niger Delta region. In other news, as trade relations between South Africa and the U.S. continue to decline, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation Ronald Lamola says the country is now diversifying its trade partners and exploring alternative markets, including China. Lamola noted that the impact on the economy is expected to be minimal, around 0.2% of South Africa's GDP growth. It is estimated that 30,000 jobs are at risk. While briefing the media in Johannesburg, he emphasized that the country's economic future remains resilient.
The reduction in growth from the 30% tariffs depends on a number of factors.
including our ability to find alternative markets. It should be noted, however, that 85% of South Africa's exports remain exempted from the tariffs. All applicable exemptions published in the previous U.S. executive order are said to remain in force.
Still on the trade tensions between South Africa and the U.S., Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, Park Stau, says the government will continue engaging with Washington. He emphasized that negotiations will be conducted in the best interest of the country. While acknowledging the challenges, Stau also highlighted that the situation presents an opportunity to further strengthen the African Continental Free Trade Area.
We are working with our colleagues in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. As indicated earlier, we have also ratified various protocols. We are accelerating work to address what are some of the niggly issues that need resolution, including issues on rules of origin with regards to the auto sector, clothing and textile.
South African Transport Minister Barbara Creecy and Deputy Minister Mkhuleko Hlengwa have welcomed the department's clean audit outcome from the Auditor General South Africa. They say they see it as a step toward a fully accountable administration. The department spokesperson, Colin Msibi, says the Auditor General found no significant deficiencies in the department's financial management processes.
This is the first time in 31 years that the department has achieved a clean audit outcome.
Spotify says it will increase the monthly price of its premium individual subscription in select markets from September as the Swedish streaming giant looks to improve margins. The subscription price will rise to $13.86 per month from $12.73 in markets including South Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Europe, Latin America, and the Asia-Pacific region. The company says subscribers will receive an email explaining the price increase over the next month. Let's shift our focus to financial indicators at this hour. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 532, Botswana 13 pula 41, Kenya the dollar is at 128 shilling 521, Zambia 22 kwacha 86. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 54, Russia 79 rubles 87, India 87 rupee 18, China 71.19, South Africa $1 is trading at 18 rand 4 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound, 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is at $3,362 and platinum at $1,310 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil at $68.35 a barrel. That is all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chandruko Ligege.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Je, una jambo lolote akilini mwako? Je, una shauku kuhusu masuala muhimu? Na je, una maoni ambayo unataka yasikike? Kweli, hili jukwaa ni la kwako. Piga simu au tuandikie kwenda WhatsApp namba alama ya kujumulisha 2760552594 na tutakupigia simu.
Mtangazaji wa habari zetu za Afrika Kusini mjini Johannesburg.
Hivyo unaweza kuwa mshirika kwenye matangazo yetu. Sio mazungumzo tu, ni fursa yako ya kuchangia maoni yako na kushirikiana na jumuiya ya wasikilizaji wanaotamani mtazamo wako. Tufuate kwenye mitandao ya kijamii. Tembelea tovuti yetu www.channelafrica.co.za na uwe tayari kushiriki na kuchangia maoni yako kwenye Channel Africa. Channel Africa, mtazamo wa Kiafrika. Zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Tumetoka kusikiliza wimbo na huu ni utunzi wako, wewe ndio umeandika mistari na imani wewe ndio umeandika mstari. Tuanzie kwenye jina. Wimbo unaenda kwa jina gani?
Wimbo unaitwa Kanjori.
Aha, Kanjori. Kanjori maana yake nini?
Kama jinsi nilivyoimba. Nauza wazo leo, kesho na wazo wa uzuri wake, mwendo wake. Japata sio msikilio. Ukikau matendo ya wake changu chake.
Unatisha kwelikweli. Aha, Kanjori, ni historia gani au message gani ambayo imefichama nyuma ya wimbo huu?
Kanjori kwa ufupi ni kitu kizuri, yani kitu kidogo, kitu kadogo yani, alafu ni kazuri ambapo kanavutia kwa kila mtu.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the upside.
Yeah, Shala, done. I'm a cowboy panties. Wake up. I want a girl with the wickedest wine. The kind of girl who da mash up in my ear. And if you want South Sudanese boy, Talibes, yeah. Me girl, you are fire. I swear you are better than them. Me girl, you are hotter than them. This is better to the Jamili, you want my day. Baby, tujin chirmai. Near the dinner in a deal. Hilwati Jamili. Nairandi and then Najahin. Me girl, you are fire. I swear you are better than them. Me girl, you are hotter than them. This is better to the Jamili, you want my day. Baby girl, you know. Oh, baby girl, you know. Big shall I love you. Make it count like 1, 2, 4. Beat your body up like a drum roll. Now Mr. Beat me, now make this song go. Get your nyara then the baby. Bayin panga. Oh, inja control. So pure, inja control. Near dukin kachanog. Near dukin kachajor. I swear to God I love ya. Napelen kabario. Alwele slatin. Wake up. Kedine pure achajalting. Leka mako boy mendien chatting. Abung mad by kedien chatting. Jonkulo mayake kedien chatting. Kena gun marial kedien chatting. Ye Maserati limousine. Ye helicopter ku with piano. Shala. Me girl you on fire. I swear you are better than them. Me girl you are hotter than them. This is better to the Jamili, you want my day. Baby, tujin chirmai. Near the dinner in a deal. Hilwati Jamili. Nairandi and then Najahin. Me girl you are fire. I swear you are better than them. Me girl you are hotter than them. This is better to the Jamili, you want my day. Abangia yindeng yinche baireti. Abangia yinto yinche baireti. I just wanna feel your body vibrating, girl. Balance it, rewind. Hips don't lie, girl, your body necessary. Them say you're bad to the bone, real champion. Me nah go waste no time, jump on your waistline. You're so tam. Yanima wind up your body non-stop, girl. Me sugar plum, baby girl, what in the best one time now. Me girl, you're too hot and nobody can taste. She make me mad, make me crazy on her waistline like ting-a-ling-a-ling. School bell ring, oh. Wind up your body pan, my cup white thing. Girl, me booyaka, real general thing say. Oh, me girl, you are hotter than fire. Oh, me girl, you are hotter than mama. Spin like a cat tire, bend you up like a wire. Wine pan the body, it up on me like pepper. Bamba de sukun. Nyan kan wo sukun. Bamba de sukun. And a bishin leg bed, and a bed dick some action. We are bang. Me girl, you are fire. I swear you are better than them. Me girl, you are hotter than them.
Thanks for staying with us here on The Upside, coming through with some wonderful reggae vibes from South Sudan. It's almost like, you know what I love about reggae is even though its origins are from the Caribbean and Jamaica, if you will, you can always hear the remake of a particular song or the remake of the genre, as it were, and where it actually comes from. Like it's not just in the language, it's just in the musicality, in the instrumentation is also a dead giveaway of where a particular reggae song comes from. So we could immediately tell that then that one represents South Sudan, coming through on the upside with just a few minutes to go till it's 4 p.m. in Central African time. Don't forget that Tami Ngubeni will be coming through to host the Africa in Business space for you if you really are interested in finding out what the space of business looks like on the African continent and all kinds of fraternities that participate in that. Stay tuned just after the 4 p.m. news bulletin. Let's talk about the space of women, okay? South Africa is, of course, acknowledging August the 9th as Women's Day, okay, to, of course, pay tribute to the women of the 50s. 1956 was when women marched to the union buildings in South Africa to really just sort of do away with the past laws and everything that comes with past laws that really was about the oppression of women, you know. So that was a historical moment in South Africa, but I love how we can use the space to also serve conversation and dialogue around other parts of the African continent. And conversation around women. So just over the weekend, got to note the fact that Namibian President Natembo Nandi Ndaitwa, I beg your pardon, on Saturday, well, she emphasized the urgent need to address the historical injustice that is endured by African women through repatriative justice frameworks. She was speaking at the 63rd Pan-African Women's Day celebration in the capital city of Windhoek in Namibia, and she basically stated that this is a framework that is very vital in terms of being able to confront the legacy of colonialism, slavery, apartheid, and other sort of places and spaces that look like imperialist exploitation for women. So very, very important that she noted this. And she was also talking about the process 19 years ago, okay, when Parliament passed a motion calling on Germany to acknowledge its colonial era and genocide within the country of Namibia and provide these repatriations. So very, very important, since the government has engaged in ongoing negotiations with Germany alongside representatives of affected communities. As we know, Namibia is of course, got its independence back from Germany. So hence why Germany is coming up in this conversation, but very important. So what are we talking about when we're talking about repatriation? It's an important process. Hey, it's a process of returning something to its original place, to its original country. So having a president really speak up on this, and I think particularly when it affects vulnerable groups, when it affects marginalized groups like women, you know, historically, it's definitely a good opportunity in this month of August to speak up on that. She also calls strongly, just to add, she calls for stronger advocacy from women's organizations and the ratification and implementation of the African Union gender protocols and the prioritization of youth mental health and peace building efforts. So I wanted to mention that because, you know, processes of giving women their power back, you know, spaces that are affected by womanhood, whether it's in business or society or protocols in regional bodies like the African Union, everything is affected, okay? Repatriation, whatever it is, everything just then becomes affected by processes. One process affects the other, and so it goes. It becomes a domino effect. So the fact that she understands the supremacy of this issue at that level is enough for me to think, listen, Namibia has nailed it when it comes to really inaugurating Madame Nandi Ndaitwa as their president. So very, very important to note that, and big ups to Namibia for really doing the work. This is us at 15:52. Welcome to the Upside if you've just started listening.
zilipendwa na Abedi Jean de la Croix.
Bana Boy huyo anajulikana kama Damini Ebunoluwa Ogolo, maarufu kama Bana Boy. Alizaliwa Julai 2 mwaka 1991. Ni mwimbaji na mwandishi wa nyimbo kutoka nchini Nigeria. Alipata umaarufu mnamo mwaka 2012 baada ya kutoa wimbo wake wa kwanza kabisa ambao ulijulikana kwa jina la Like to Party kutoka ndani ya studio Live 2013. Mnamo mwaka 2017 Bana Boy alisaini na bendi Habit Atlantic Records huko Marekani na One Music Group. Albamu yake ya tatu ya studio ya nje 2018 iliweka alama ya kwanza ya lebo yake. Mnamo mwaka 2019 alishinda sheria ya kimataifa ya bora kabisa kwenye tuzo za BET za 2019. Alitangazwa pia kama msanii wa Apple Music's Up Next.
Zilipendwa kila Jumamosi kuanzia saa 12 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati hadi saa 1 kamili majira ya Afrika ya Kati.
We take no sides, none whatsoever. We are the Upside.
Beléché, Bébí Machaï, Papa Loco, Bébé Yécho, Bébí Machaï, Dido Opé. Beléché, Bébí Machaï, Dido Opé. Beléché. Beléché, Kemi Machaï, Baba Logo, me Maléché, Kemi Machaï, Dido Opé. Torí pé, onígbà ń gbégbá, aláwo ń gbáwo, èmi gbégbá fẹ́ sólúwa aláwùrá bí. Alátìlẹ́yìn ọba tí kì í dojú tì ní. Me Maléché o, Kemi Machaï, Dido Opé. Èmi gbégbá pẹ́ sólúwa aláwùrá bí. Alátìlẹ́yìn ọba tí kì í dojú tì ní. Me Maléché o, Kemi Machaï, Dido Opé. Àkúnlẹ̀yàn òun làdáyébá. Mo délé ayé mo dá ìtọ̀nà òwò. Òwú kì í là inú robó lóko. Mo já tìyá iṣẹ́ ìyá mi wéré-wéré. Mo já tọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ ó lè dẹ̀rín lọ́rùn. Mo já tìtọ̀nà ọ̀pẹ. Ọ̀pẹ ní sórí èkùrọ́ orí àgbo. Èkùrọ́ orí àgbo amóhùnyè kóróró. Àkọ́kọ́ dáyé ni ó ti jáwé ọlá. Kí n gbọ́. Àṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ dáyé ni ó ti jáwé àtọ́ o. Kókókó là ń gbọ́ nílé àárọ̀. Ẹni bá wá wò sẹ́jú dákan ní. Yóò pẹ́ létí omi.
Music by Nigeria's King Sunny Ade coming through with his African beats, right? Mileso, the title of the song. I always think about our South African late great Bra Masekela, very good friends with King Sunny Ade. Just by the way, as he moved through the African continent, he paid Bra Masekela, that is, paid his own way through moving and teaching himself the music of the world, moving through Ghana, moving through Uganda, moving through the Gambia, moving through Nigeria was clearly his favorite place to go. So, I'm just in deep reflection of the brotherhood that was so big in the 80s. Brakuma Sikera, King Sunny Ade, Yosundo, all those artists, they've all crossed paths and worked together, and that's how they became master collaborators.
And a different consciousness as well.
100%.
That was very much akin to the era and just what the mission was and the unity of the continent. So, a worthy trip down memory lane.
Absolutely. One mission, one voice.
One voice.
All the time.
And there was also such a huge brotherhood as well, and a camaraderie with the African Americans, because consciousness at that time and in that era was just so huge. Yes. And really, what an era to tap into, for this generation and even for generations to come. If there's anything that we need, it is that collective voice, whether it's in the arts or in business. And I think what's happening now with the United States and just the change in the economic global climate is just such an indicator of how important it is for Africa to work and for Africa to have its own economy.
For us to have our own economy, I think you've said this several times, and it's time for us to now pay attention. The 7th of August is around the corner, okay? We're going to take a deep breath now collectively because 30% tariffs are going to be implemented. So with that said, let's check in with what else is coming through as Tami Gubeni ushers us into Africa in Business after 4 p.m. News Bulletin.
Yes, definitely. We'll be looking at the Embassy's Business Fair and Conference, which is going to be taking place within the next month or so. We'll look at the F&B markets, the latest business and financial market developments with Sibamandla Mkhwanazi, F&B senior economist. That and a whole lot more as we also focus on Nigeria and Johannesburg, South Africa.
Interesting times ahead. Okay, tune in. The next hour is going to come through with all things business. So I will see you again tomorrow, okay, between 1 and 4 p.m. in Central African time. It was an absolute pleasure. And thank you to the rest of the team behind the scenes that made the show an epic one once again. Have a wonderful rest of the afternoon. Cheers.
It is a very good afternoon to you, Kenya.